YouTube, chicks. Get ready. You know what to do, chicks.
I find him. You know, I like Chick Smooth. Chick Smooth is somebody I really enjoy listening to on YouTube because Chick just got an intellectual curiosity about things.
Hey man, do not commit crimes. However, if you have to, just make sure you got enough money to get yourself a good lawyer. Now, luckily for Pooh Shiesty, he's actually got one of the best in the business, Bradford Cohen. Now, today in court, to nobody's surprise, Pooh Shiesty was denied bond. The judge made it clear that she found sufficient evidence to proceed, stating, "I find that there is probable cause," and adding that she could not identify any release conditions that hadn't already been considered towards Pooh Shiesty. So, ultimately, she granted the government's motion for detention, which means Pooh Shiesty is going to remain in custody until the trial starts. Now, best case scenario is that he gets a date for trial this year. Now, after the court hearing today, his lawyer, Brad Cohen, went absolutely nuts, not only on the feds, but also on Gucci as well. You guys remember the press conference the feds gave last week when they arrested him? And the reason why they waited so long?
Defendant's roles in the federal offense. This is as follows. Electronic monitoring data placing Williams Jr. at the offense location, which would put him in violation of his home detention conditions. Cell phone records and license plate reader data corroborating the coordinated travel of multiple defendants from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas. Rental car records confirming Williams Sr. rented a vehicle that was used by the group. Surveillance footage from the offense location, a nearby office supply store, and a hotel where several of the defendants stayed following the offense. Fingerprint evidence as well that was recovered from the crime scene, matching at least two of the defendants. Social media posts by defendants displaying what appears to be stolen property just in the days following the offense. Greyhound bus records confirming the travel of multiple defendants from Dallas to Memphis the day after the offense. In this case, came to Dallas to conduct legitimate business, and they were met with firearms and violence as alleged in the charging document.
This is Chase with the Dallas Morning News. So the initial incident happens in January 10th. We're here in April. Can you describe the timeline and the length of time, you know, why we're talking about this now? Because it sounds like these arrests happened recently. And then the second part of that question, did all of the arrests happen yesterday, or were they happening over the span of time that we're talking about?
Yeah, good questions. I'll start with the last part. 8 of the 9 happened yesterday, and then we're still working on one more. And that was, again, a lot of those happened in Memphis, one happened in Nashville, and we're working now with our Georgia counterparts to get the last person brought to justice. Do you want to ask another question, follow up to that?
No, actually, I forgot you had 2. Come back to me after you.
Okay, and remind me of your first part, sir.
We had the initial incident on January 10th,
Yep.
here April 2nd. Can you describe and kind of characterize why, you know, that amount of time passed before there were arrests?
Well, that was one of the reasons I wanted to list off some of the evidence that has been uncovered to date. A lot of this was subpoena work, search warrant work, and things like that in order to develop the investigation. And so the agents here with me, the agents out in the field, it takes a little bit of time to identify who did this offense and build a case so that we feel comfortable bringing the charges. So actually that's pretty quickly for a federal case of this gravity and this nature. And so I'm very proud of the investigative work, and it will continue from this office as well as our FBI and our local police department.
Well, Pooh Shiesty's lawyer, Bradford Cohen, is calling BS. Not only is he claiming the feds have absolutely no evidence, but he's also claiming that the owner of the studio, who was actually there during the robbery and kidnapping, did not hear a peep. That's right, you guys. This is absolutely wild. Now, Pooh Shiesty's lawyer also goes on to claim that the feds have no physical evidence. Here's what he said.
C-O-H-E-N, Saul Zegane, and John Helms.
Any questions, just look straight in the middle.
Thank you. So we had a bond hearing today and a PC hearing today. I think that the relevant things that were said today that I thought were fascinating were that it took 3 months to build a case. And I think the reason for that was because the statements that were given on the evening that this occurred were were very questionable. I think the way that the statements were made, what allegedly was witnessed and what wasn't witnessed, I think gave great pause to the FBI. The FBI doesn't take 3 months to arrest someone if they believe everything that was said on the night that it occurred. They were involved the first night, and then nothing happened for 3 months. In addition to that I thought was quite embarrassing was that an FBI agent says they don't have the resources to keep their eye on an individual. This is allegedly an individual that committed a crime that they then didn't watch to see if the guns were present, if the jewelry was present. And what didn't we hear today? What we didn't hear today is there is no contract, this mystery contract. They have no contract. They have no video of this alleged signing of a contract. They have no guns. They have no jewelry. They have none of that physical evidence. What they have is they have allegedly 5 individuals, one of them being a very well-known individual that is allegedly cooperating with the government and making these allegations against my client and many more. I'm going to take like 1 or 2 questions and then we're going to scoop.
You're essentially arguing they've got only a he said kind of case, no evidence.
Correct. Yeah, it's very fair. I think that this is it's a he said type of a case. I mean, obviously, there's 5 individuals on one side. What we're missing are the other people that were present in the room, right? The owner of the studio who says he didn't hear anything or see anything. The way they leave the studio, where no one is in concert with anybody else, no one's arguing with anyone else. One of the individuals says, "Hey, can I get my watches back?" Like, the story is quite unusual. And I think that the FBI knew that. I think the investigators knew that it was unusual. And I think that's why it took so long to make the arrest.
What is your response to the judge saying that, your client still violated the terms of this ankle monitor location?
Sure, those are all things that are going to be, flushed out. The fact is that he was allowed to be in certain areas at certain times. That really wasn't an argument for today. I wasn't really even going to make that argument. My main thrust of today was to really push on the evidence and see exactly what they had and when they had. How about this? How about the individual who wrote the complaint, who actually drafted the complaint, who was sitting in the courtroom, who's only been an FBI agent for 4 years, does not take the stand. They put someone else on to say what she wrote in her own complaint when she's sitting in the courtroom. And that's done quite often in gamesmanship, because they don't want to put a rookie on the stand and be measured by our legal team.
How far away is this from trial?
Oh, who knows? We're going to get discovery. We'll take a look at their discovery. They're going to say it's ongoing. I mean, think about it. They had 3 months to get this done. They had 3 months to get warrants. They didn't get warrants that night. They didn't get warrants the next night. They didn't get warrants the next month. They didn't get warrants the month after. They waited 3 months to get warrants on whether or not there's guns, whether or not there's jewelry. How about their cell phones? How about the computers? That gives me great pause when I see a case that takes that long to get warrants, if you believe everything that was said on the evening that it occurred.
So can you tell me
let me take one from her because she was talking last minute.
Can you say anything about the identity of RD, and then you also spoke about a social media post you had made?
Correct. So, listen, I don't like when the government puts initials in and everyone takes a guess who they are. We all know who they are, right? I'm not going to say it's this person or that person. That's not my job to do. But certainly there have been media posts of individuals that we suspect were involved in that evening where they're denying that it occurred, or they're denying that they're giving statements to the government. I think that's unusual as well, because of what the government put forward today seems to negate those statements, but we'll have to see how this all shakes out. Listen, guys, Sam and I have had many, many cases together, right? We just finished a case a couple of years ago in San Francisco on the Cash App murder case. And whenever I talk to individuals, whenever I talk to the media, I always say this is not a straight road. It's always a very winding road. So we never know where things are going to take us. We got to look at the evidence as it comes in, and we'll see what's there. I'm just shocked that when they say there might be video out there, they don't have it. There might be this mystery contract, they don't have it. Oh, they were at Staples, making copies. It's just a total guess. So, we're not here to guess. I'm here to look at the evidence, to weigh the evidence, and to make the best decision based on that evidence.
Your client just stays in detention until what?
Yeah, currently he'll stay in detention. He hit discovery. We'll start going through that. There's going to be several motions that we're going to file, obviously, in the next couple of weeks, but that'll all come out. We'll get comments there.
So did the feds even interview any of the people? Did the feds even interview any of the people yet? Any of the alleged victims?
So my understanding is the FBI has, over the past 3 or 4 months, has interviewed none of the alleged victims, and allegedly they all have future dates to give statements. But I have no idea if that's true. We're basing it on what the agent said on the stand, that each one of those witnesses from that evening is going to appear and give a statement to the federal authorities.
So RD never made a statement as of now?
Not to the FBI, but that evening it appears from the material that they produced and from the agent's testimony is that RD gave a statement that evening, but since that evening has not given another statement. But the FBI said in the future they're all scheduled to give statements, so we'll have to see. All right. Thank you, guys.
Hey, listen, man, right or wrong, this is exactly the kind of lawyer that you want representing you in court. If you know you did some bullshit, hey, just hire Brad Cohen. Now, one of the main evidence from the Fed's press conference last week was that Pooh Shiesty had his ankle monitor on while he was in Dallas. How do you claim you did not commit the crime when you were supposed to be in Memphis, but your ankle monitor was tracked in Dallas the same day the robbery went down? And if you guys noticed, his lawyer quickly skated past that question. Now, whether or not Gucci gave a statement, whether or not Pooh Shiesty is innocent, this is all going to play out in court and we are all going to witness it. A win for him and Pooh Shiesty in court would probably be Pooh Shiesty not getting locked up for 10 plus years. And we all know what the Fed's conviction rate is. You guys get in the comments below. Do you guys think he's telling the truth, or is he doing his job as Pooh Shiesty's defense lawyer? Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys later, man.